Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week on the Cyclekart build we're going to see if we can get the thing to run. See you in a minute. Well, this is the time for the classic will it run video. Only in this case, let's be honest about it, you wouldn't be seeing it if it hadn't run. So spoiler alert, at some point during the day I'm hoping it's going to run. If it doesn't, we'll find out why and carry on until we do before we put the video out. The cart is in the garage. It's 21st of April and I think I've got everything in place in theory to get it running, and we will see how the day progresses. It's 9:45 in the morning. Just going to go into the garage, take stock of what we've got, get it prepared, ready, and go out and buy a few bits and pieces I need to make sure it will run. So let's go in the garage and have a look. Right, so probably needs a bit of a clear up around it to start with, but essentially I think we're nearly there. Now the only thing that's likely to scupper this is if the Toy Town battery that I've bought for it is not enough or needs a bit of pasting to get it going and goes flat, because I haven't got a motorbike charger that will recharge it. I've got a normal charger, but I understand they're not ideal for them. So that might be the limit, but we only need three things to get this going. We need fuel, which I haven't got, we need spark, which I haven't got at the moment, and we need oxygen, which there's probably a bit of around somewhere. Fuel I'm going to pop out and get it. I've got a can out of the trike outside, so we'll go and get some 4-star in a minute, or whatever it is nowadays. Ignition is something that I think has been solved this morning with the arrival of a set of fuses, because I've got a fuse panel in the front which runs effectively the ignition circuit. So we will pop one of those in. There's no oil in it, and I'm going to sort that out. So I've got oil in the garage over there, but what I haven't got is a means to get it into the engine and gearbox. It's going to be a bit of a struggle to get it in through there, so I might need a funnel to get both in there and into there, or some sort of tubing in a funnel, and I could do with some sort of measure as well, because that's 0.25 of a litre. Don't know what the engine holds, we'll have to look that up, but we'll go and get those when we're out. And so we'll just pop this fuse in, which should make it all go. I've got a 20 amp breaker on the cart anyway, so I'm going to stick with 20 amp, should be plenty. I might well come down with that later, because this is purely the ignition, which runs power to the ignition switch, which then runs through to the starter solenoid. The actual cart itself is live once I turn the battery on, or connect the battery up and turn it on. So let's just get the fuse into the right hole first. Put that in. Away, and I think we will then, as I say, pop out and get a small funnel maybe, and filler. That's one thing I didn't think of when I was putting that tank where it was. It's now you start finding the practicalities of what you've done, or impracticalities of what you've done. Really could do with a tube Now I did get some tubing when we had that. I bet I've thrown it away. That new pump for the central heating. There was a lot of white, clear plastic. Yes, here we are. Clear plastic tubing. I did keep it. Good. So that will get me into the crankcase. It's probably too big to get me into the gearbox. Right, I've had a sort of moderately successful trip out. Doesn't quite got me what I wanted, but I think we can get round it. Got my fuel, got the oil. I couldn't find a funnel. I've got a measure jug, but actually I've also just been upstairs and found a 50 milliliter cup that I use for the resins, and I think, yeah, I'll be able to get in and pour that. So I think we're ready to rock and roll. So let us start by putting the oils in, I think, and then we can move on from that. So I want 250 milliliters, so that's 5 of these in the gearbox. Not intending to run the gearbox as such, but I think it's a suitable point at which to put the stuff in. I've still got to put a breather on it, but again, we'll worry about that later. At this point it starts to get messy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. So that is 1/4 of a litre, 250 ml gearbox. Right, for the engine, let's just sort that out. Capacity. Engine oil. Page 11. Right, it doesn't tell you how much, just tells you to fill up to the dipstick. Right, let's go for a bit of a guess. Pour some in this jug that we've got. Not sure I can get this to go in or not. No, I need the bit of hose I've cut somewhere. See how we're getting on with that. Doesn't seem like a lot at the moment, but I can say without knowing what the capacity is. Dipstick's round the other side where I can't get at it. Also going to take the chain off because although the axle isn't really connected up to anything, I really don't want it to start and try and move. Yes, some idiot has put the dipstick right behind the chain wheel. So I need to slacken that off, I think. I'll come back to that one in a second. Right, I'll swap the plug. There's 2 identical holes, one front, one back. One's got a blanking plug and one's got the dipstick in it, so I'll just swap them back round so that I've got the dipstick at the back. It was just starting to show it at the bottom. So I've got a way to go yet, but we are on the way. making a mess. What I'll do then, before I even connect any of the electrics up, make sure that the coil is earthed with the ignition switch being off, and I'm just going to pull it over by hand just to make sure that we get a bit of oil round everywhere that it needs to be going. Although there's no oil pump in these, or it's relying on splash, but I'd like to at least get it into the main bearings. But when it's coming out the bottom, I think, so maybe we're getting close to full, I don't know. Right, that's nearly up to the top, so I'm going to leave it at that. There's nothing there to splash around, I think. Let's clear this horrendous mess up. Put that back in there. Okay. Right, I'm just going to take the engine out. Only not really, that's the dummy engine. Take that out so that we can get at the battery connection, and get that connected up. Again, nothing should happen at the moment because it's not the isolator's turned off. Of course, when I said that the only thing limiting it was the battery, whether that would survive, be good enough to crank it over. Of course, I've forgotten there's a hand pull on it, so if the battery fails, we should still be able to get it going. That's got the battery connected, I hope. Getting closer and closer. Fuel is the next one, so we will put in a minimal amount. Again, I don't want to put a lot in. Being a pessimist, I have fears that the whole lot will have to come to pieces. And we haven't got all of the bits that we need to put that into there, but right, we'll have to tip it. Good job I didn't fill the can up, I suppose. Right, fuel. Shut the door into the house, or I will be in big trouble for the stink of petrol. I know there's a little smell if it starts, but still. Right. So, particularly difficult little setup. That's it. So make sure it's turned off on the ignition switch, which it is, because it's not even activated anyway. Turn it for a couple of times just to get some oil in. Splashing around in there. Now then, I've got to turn that fuel line on, which it is. Choke is on, which it is. That fuel line was on as well. so I think I'm ready to give it a go. We need the isolating switch. Find it. A pair of them somewhere. In a box. Nope, can't make it run because we haven't got the isolator switch key. I'll go home. Oh, I can see it. It's down there. Two of those. Right, turn the isolator on. Turn the ignition on. From the banging noise, which I'm not too sure about. Right, okay. Started straight away. Okay, right. Bit of thinking to do here. I think I'm going to take the TAV drive off it because it sounded to me as if it was a little bit not happy with something, but let's just take that off first, and then I can worry about just the motor running first, and by which time I'll have forgotten how it all goes back together. So that goes onto there. Okay, that's the order. So it's plate with the brass bronze bush on it and the four-leggy thing. The outer ring, the bolt through. Right, I'm going to open the back door and try that again. Good. I'll probably take the choke off too soon. Interesting. Right, well I'll take that as a win, I think. But it's a bit warm around the exhaust pipe, so I can see where the problem is with heat on these things, but yeah, I am very, very happy with that. Mainly because it was such an easy thing to do. It just went straight away, which was something well, I'd hoped for, but I wasn't really expecting. Just going to put the TAV back on it now, on the grounds that I think the noise I heard was basically the thing was a little bit unhappy. Obviously with its very first start, the choke was out, it was a bit pinking, I think, slightly advanced, I don't know. But it seems to have settled down nicely now. So we'll pop that back on before I forget the order in which everything fits. I'm not going to use any more petrol or make any more noise at the moment, because it's done what I'd wanted to do, if you like, today. I know that the motor is good. And the TAV we'll worry about next, because we've got to reset all the gear wheels and things now and get into the gearbox. But very pleased with that, very pleased indeed. Wow, well, that was a bit unexpected really. It was almost too easy. I at least expected the thing would fight me a little bit along the way, but actually once we got it turned on and all the bits connected up, went straight away without any problem. So big thumbs up to Lifan for the engine that starts straight away. A lot of work to go obviously now from now on. One of the things I've noticed is that even when it's warm, it is reluctant to start without the choke being on, and that is a lever in the back, so I'm going to either have to put a linkage into that somehow, or at least make the back easily accessible, because you can't just get in the thing and turn it on and start it. But that's something for the future. I am just delighted. It's 11:45, so it's probably not really taken that long at all, when you think that probably an hour of the time I was out getting fuel and trying to find a funnel and things like that. So very pleased with that. Hope the video was of interest. Look forward to seeing you next week. We'll be doing something different on the Cyclekart. I'll see you then. Bye.